Okay, so what I want to talk to you guys a little bit. Earlier we were talking about Yagyu Minonori. There's different aspects written by different family members of the Yagyu family. So, but we were talking about the Heiho Kadin Sho, right, which was one of the transmissions of the Yagyu family. It was on swordsmanship and understanding of the way of the samurai. Now, one thing that you guys hear a lot in the Japanese martial art world is the word Bushido. Now, Bushido means the way of the warrior. Now, that term, though, more than likely was not used at the time. There was probably no real word for it. There are lots of things we do in the modern day to kind of name something, so it helps us understand something that we don't understand. So we can kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're trying to learn the ancient ways of this or the ancient ways of that, this, that, and the other. So what we do is we come up with a word that helps us understand something that we might not be able to understand. And then as we study the way of the warrior, and this sort of thing, as we go through the studies of it, we start putting all that underneath Bushido. Honor, respect, loyalty, dignity, all this kind of stuff, right? Integrity. Well, when you look at a lot of the ancient scrolls, you see that they always say the way, like Miyamoto Musashi. The way is in training, right? Which I think that's true, because a lot of people in the modern day, they get on YouTube, they get on their cell phone, all this kind of stuff. They've watched a million videos, but they don't train. They don't. And you can tell they don't train. So we have this idea of people think they know the way, but they don't. Because they're not training, there's one. Another aspect of the way, which I think is very important to understand, is Yagyu says, and he says it in the scroll, he said, for those that try to study this like a scholar, they know all the different parables, they know all the different paraphrases, and they study, the ancient words like a scholar. But because they don't put themselves through it, because they're not doing the training, they'll never understand the way. And I think that's important. Because when we think about it, when you think about the way, we talk about the way of the samurai, right? You've also seen in the Hagakure, the way of the samurai is found in death, right? A lot of people take that and they misunderstand that too. You know what I mean? The samurai's job was to kill. So the way of the samurai is found in death. The way of the samurai is killing. Do you understand that? Right, so people think the way of the samurai means I got to kill myself. Well, maybe. It's kill yourself or kill them. You know what I mean? But it's not always this seppuku type thing. It's not, or harakiri, that's not what it is. The way of the samurai is found in death. You're constantly thinking about killing people. Even Miyamoto Musashi himself writes, every day you should meditate about being ripped apart and being shot with arrows and being stabbed to death. And the reason he says that is because there are many times, how many of you guys know you practice like basketball? And you go out and you're out in the court and you're by yourself and you're dribbling the ball, you're 3, 2, 1, and shoot the game-winning shot. And you do that enough, and we've heard many times, many different professional athletes talk about visualization. They visualize the game-winning shot, they hit the game-winning shot so many times in practice that when it's time to do it in game time, they do it. Now think about that with the way of the samurai. The way of the samurai is found in death, Hagakure, right? Miyamoto Musashi, you should be meditating every day about being ripped apart and being shot with arrows and stabbed with spears and swords. Why? So you learn, your brain says keep going. You don't stand there when you get stabbed, you keep fighting when you get stabbed. And I think that's an important aspect. Now you guys are studying, you guys are learning these different aspects of the martial arts that we're studying out here. And these techniques that you guys are doing were written down by people who were going to war. Think about that. Let that sink in for just a second. Everybody in a 20-mile radius, there's all these different martial arts schools. And they have these modern martial arts, and this martial art, and that martial art, and all this stuff. And that's all well and good that Bob is selling his own opinion on how he thinks it should be. But Bob has probably never been in a fight. Bob never went to war, and Bob don't know what it's like to kill someone. But what we have is something very special. These techniques that I'm showing you are written down and preserved for hundreds of years by people that went to war and killed. And they came back and said, these are the techniques that work. This technique works because I did it. If they didn't come back, we wouldn't have the goddamn technique. Do you know what I mean? So everyone's like, oh, Budo Ryukai, that's an organization, that Christa Jacobson did. Well, it may just because I created the organization doesn't mean the techniques or the arts that we're doing I created. I just created the platform so people could understand how to study the ancient ways. Because no one else does. Everyone else looks at the ancient ways and throws it to the side. They don't want it anymore. You know what I mean? Like it's on the clearance rack. It's because they don't understand it. Now you guys are studying these arts, and don't look at these techniques like we just did with like, well, that's easy. There's a difference between easy and simple. And this is something I've been preaching at the Hambu this week, that kind of easy, very easy to understand, right? But complex in nature. Just because something is easy doesn't mean it's simple, right? Because we can all say that we all know how to punch and kick and block, right? So why study for 20 fucking years to be good at it if you already know how to punch and kick? Because the concept is easy, but it is not simple. It's extremely complex and dynamic. You understand? Right. So when we're studying these techniques and these ancient ways, don't push them to the side. I know you guys are tired. I know that it's been hot as shit, over 100-degree heat index. You guys have sweated all out, and we still got a few more hours to go. I know it's tough, but focus on it, because that's when you guys, that's the time that you really want to really focus in and try to get something out of it. Because no one's going to fight when they're in the best state of mind. Nobody. You're pumping gas, you're thinking about something, you're having a good day, you're going to go see your daughter's dance recital, or maybe you're going to go to lunch with a friend, or you're going to go see your mom and dad, and you're pumping gas, and then some prick comes up with a fucking knife and tries to shank you for the $5 you have in your wallet. It's never an optimal time. It's not like you get to walk out and say, all right guys, this is the day I want you to jump me. You know what I mean? So, and with that being said, that's a good thing that it's hot as hell and you guys are sweating your asses off and you have to train in the heat. And now I'm asking you to do these techniques tired as hell, because it helps you understand how to do that when you are. And if you've done it, that visualization, I can do it again. Do you know what I mean? And that will has to be there. So keep that in mind when you're training. The stuff that we're doing hundreds of years ago, and this group here, this group right now is the group that's going to help preserve it for the next generation.